somebody's shot's not there for the night, you have other options that you can go to. When I look back specifically to last year and the struggles that we had, you kind of had Brandon Robinson and Playtech and Leaky Black there a little bit. We all know the struggles there. Robinson obviously faced a lot of injuries, missed more games than we wanted him to. But beyond that, we were pretty limited. And now when you're looking, you have Love, you have Davis, you have Harris, you have Pup Johnson, you have Kerwin, Walton, you have Playtech. I mean, there's a lot of different options. Out of those, I very much expect Davis to, obviously Love goes without saying, but I think that Davis will kind of rise and take a step above the rest, especially by the time it becomes ACC play. And similar to what we said about Baycott, hopefully Leaky can use the competition behind him to elevate his game because, with him sitting there at the 3, the 2 and the 3 with these guys are pretty interchangeable.
Yeah, that's where Puff Johnson sort of factors in there as well, is that, you could see him probably playing a little bit of that 3, similar to Cam, a little bit. Doesn't have quite the size, might not be the rebounder that Cam was late in his career, but definitely a guy that I think could factor in there. No, I think Mark's right. I think especially with R.J. Davis, you look at the fact that not only is R.J. a good defender, he can shoot the ball, he's also a guy that you can play either at the 2 or the 1, and you're probably going to need somebody to play at the 1 with Caleb Love. We saw how much they put on Cole Anthony, and we saw how at times the pressure just got to him, which is understandable. These guys are 18, 19 years old. These are not guys that are in their mid-20s playing in the NBA and they can play 48 minutes a night. Even 40 minutes for these guys is a lot. You need to be able to switch these guys off. It does. I'm not going to lie to you. It is a little nerve-wracking that Carolina does not have a veteran presence in the backcourt again this year. You look, your veteran guy, Andrew Playtech, and then Anthony Harris is probably your other veteran guy. And Anthony Harris is a guy that's played 5 college basketball games so far. But at the same time, there's just so much upside with a lot of these guys. And, it goes down all the way to the guys at the bottom of this recruiting class. Some of the lower-ranked guys like Puff Johnson, who we still think has some really good upside and can play a big role this year. Kerwin Walton, we're hearing he may be a decent part of this team early on in the season, something that we did not think we would see. Now, part of that is he has to be, but the other part is he's doing what he has to do, and they've already said he's a volume 3-point shooter. I think it's definitely it's fun, but it's a little scary because we saw what happened last year when we were uncertain about what happened. So you're thinking, okay, that can happen again this year. But at the same time, I think you've got guys that fit this group a little bit better, fit this system a little bit better. And the other thing is I feel like, we've talked about this a little bit when it comes to the football side of things. But when guys aren't doing what they need to do, this year as opposed to last year, you can pull guys off the court and put someone else in behind them. You're not pulling off Cole Anthony to put in KJ Smith. You're pulling off Caleb Love to potentially put in R.J. Davis. That's a much better trade-off and something that could allow you to be more effective while also giving you a chance to teach some of these guys on the bench and not lose as much production on the floor.
I just think when
you mentioned pressure, and I think that's a very good point. And what I can't get out of my mind from last year is when the Duke collapse happened, we were up a fair amount. We all know that. And I'll never forget, they intentionally fouled Playtech, and I think, and this is nothing against Playtech, but when he went to the line to shoot those free throws, it's probably one of the most high-pressure situations you can get. I almost think I can see him shaking on the TV. So to get these guys in, to get them some minutes, to get them acclimated, to get them comfortable, I think will be huge. And specifically for the freshmen, as much as COVID is going to throw wrenches into the season that are not positive, I think one positive may be without the fans, especially when you get into the ACC and Cameron Indoor, when, you're taking a ball out of bounds, people's hands are literally inches from you. I think not having those environments may help the freshmen acclimate a little bit quicker and a little bit easier.
Heck of a point.
Yeah, we talked about that last week at the ACC with the schedule breakdown. Is like Carolina's got a lot of very tough road games, but a lot of these tough road games are going to be in either empty gyms or half capacity gyms, and it matters when Carolina's in those buildings because there's a different energy when the Tar Heels come to town. I just think with Carolina being so young in the backcourt, it really allows Roy Williams to just have the team to play the way he wants his teams to play, which is inside out first. And I think early on they're not going to have a choice. Your best option is dumping the ball inside, and even if you miss it, letting one of the guys go grab it and put it back up there, and just allow the perimeter game to come along the season. Because those guys can shoot the ball, but we don't want to have them in situations where we're asking them to score consistently until they're ready, because they're not going to be ready next week. I mean, because if they are, they're a special kind. But, and I stressed this when I broke down the backcourt, Caleb Love will probably be a very, very good player, a very fine player. But even even Kobe White had stretches his freshman year where he wasn't acclimated to playing the way Roy Williams wanted him to play. So we got to keep that in mind, is that we're going to get choppy play, and it's going to be inconsistent. But they're still going to be, hopefully they're still good enough to overcome it. I'm nervous as hell about Andrew Platek having a bigger role in this team, just because for 3 years he hasn't given you anything that you can count on to be productive and to be happy about. Because even when he plays, he finds a way to do something negative that negates all the good things that he's done. And as you mentioned with the shaking at the foul line, you're probably right, because he looks scared on the court anyway, because he's an undersized, overmatched player.
Okay. Can I ask this, though, of fans that are listening to this podcast? You've got to at least give him a chance. You have no choice.
Well, that's the problem.
Do not come out and trash this kid and say, look, this kid can't play. Why are we starting him? Start one of the freshmen. There is a reason that he was recruited to Carolina, and when you sit there and just repeatedly all that he's seeing on social media, because as much as they say it, don't check social media, you check social media. You see what they're saying about you. You got to at least give this kid a chance to come out and do something, because he's going to have to play. We said it at the end of last year. He was still going to have to play a role for you. Now he's got to play a big role for you. So the least you can do is at least give him an opportunity to succeed. Don't cast him out and say, okay, no chance that this guy's going to be a good player. We're screwed. We just have to find a way to manage and get through.
I agree, but I would also add that he needs to know what his role is. And to me, I think of a Wes Miller type role. We need him to come in, knock down some shots, and make some plays on defense. If he's playing significant minutes,
it's a problem.
Unless he has an opportunity early and just completely seasons it and pleasantly surprises us, all of us, but specifically me. The good thing is with the guys behind him, I think he gets a shot, and we all know how kind of Roy operates when it comes to guys that have been there 4 years, his type of people. But I think that leash will be a little bit shorter, and rightfully so.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
No, I'm all on that train. I'm just saying you can't throw him to the wolves and say, look, what we've seen in the past is exactly what he is. We know that, granted, you didn't have the whole offseason. When you're in the offseason, you are there to try to improve. I'm assuming that they have told him before just now, hey, you're probably going to have to play a significant role. We need you to step up. He probably knows that. I'm not coming in with huge. I'm not saying this guy's going to be all ACC. Let's just relax on that. But comparing it to Wes Miller I like that comparison. That's the type of player that he needs to be. I just really hope that some people are going to be willing to give him an opportunity when early on in the season.
Yeah, I think for him, he's got a 7-game non-conference sprint to figure out where he's going to be. Is he going to be on the floor? Or is he going to be on the bench? So, Mark hinted this earlier, and when I mentioned about Leaky Black having a breakout kind of season. So I'm going to ask you guys, but I'm going to answer the question first. Who is the breakout player for this year?
Oh, great!
And for me, it has to be Leaky Black, because I've pretty much said it like this: he's got to be better, or Carolina's not going to be ACC contending good. And I think he knows that. I think Roy Williams hasn't necessarily put the pressure on him to be like, we need you to be really good, son, or we're not going to be good. But I think he's just gotten to realize you can play at this level. You have a scholarship here. You're good enough. You're healthy. You've got the confidence. And I'm not saying he's going to come out and average 15 a game and give you 8 assists and 7 rebounds. Breaking out for him is getting double-digit scoring and 5 rebounds and 5 assists. If he can give Carolina that, I think it just changes the whole dynamic because it's going to take pressure off of Caleb Love to sometimes initiate and run the offense. You have at least another perimeter scoring threat while the perimeter offense kind of comes along, as we've talked about, as the season gets longer. So, not Garrison Brooks. Leaky Black is my guy I think is breaking out in 2020, 2021.
Leaky's also my guy. I mean, I don't have a lot more to say other than what you already said, but we need him to be that guy, and I want him to be that guy. I think that he can be that guy. You know, in addition to what you said, the only other thing I would add is the lockdown defender, where hopefully he can defend almost anybody on the opponent's team. Obviously, we've got size down low, and the 4 and the 5 guys down low will be guarding the other ones, but I think that Theo Pinson not only guarded but completely shut down Marvin Bagley. I mean, I think that Leaky has that type of potential. Now, do we need him to that degree on this specific team? No, but I think it's something that he offers in addition to what you already mentioned.
I'm going to go Armando. I think, you look at what Carolina needs, what we've talked about with the uncertainty in the backcourt. You need your guys up front to step up. When it comes to the freshmen, we like their potential a lot, but we've mentioned it. They didn't have a full offseason. They are not going to be as familiar with the system as maybe some of the other guys in the past. Even Armando was a year ago. So you need those guys that are veterans down there to step up. I didn't get to talk about it, but when it comes to Sterling Manley, I like the role that he's going to be in. He won't have to play a ton, so he won't have to put too much stress on that knee, but he'll have a chance to sort of factor in when he's needed. So that leaves Armando Bacot to step up next to Garrison Brooks. I think you need him to be that inside scorer that we saw. Like I said, we need to see him be able to run the floor a little bit, like we saw when he was at the high school level. You want to be able to get that fast tempo going again, where you can get teams to try to run with you and you can be successful. Caleb Love is a guy that fits that a lot better than Cole Anthony does. The reason that Cole Anthony was a part of that team last year was because he was just too talented. Caleb Love fits what this team wants to do a little bit more, which is run. Armando Bacot needs to be able to help out with that, and you want to see the effort on the defensive end. There were times last year where he was bullied on the defensive end. Again, could it be the injury? Of course. Could it be the fact that the team was struggling and the energy just wasn't really there? Of course. But you want to be able to see him grow as a defender. I think he does, and that's the guy that I think is going to be the breakout player this year for Carolina.
Regardless, if Leaky Black or Armando Bacot do take those steps forward, they're only going to help Carolina kind of rebound from what we had to go through last year. Let's play a little game of true false. I'm going to ask you two guys some questions. Anthony will go first, and Mark, you can answer. And it's just a very simple yes, a true or false answer is all I'm looking for here. Just some quick questions to figure out where we think Carolina is going to do this season. First off, Carolina finishes in the top 3 of the ACC.
True. We talked about this last week. I think they'll finish right behind Duke and Virginia. But, yes, I have them in the top 3.
True. Give me Virginia, Florida State, and Carolina. For me, Florida State, obviously a little bit of a wild card. They've always had the potential and been a little bit hyped, and last year they finally delivered. So I say true to Carolina being top 3.
This one's a little bit more, personal because of how we lost to Duke last year and the fact that Carolina got swept for the first time in 4 years. True or false, Carolina will split the season series with the Blue Devils?
False. I think Carolina will actually win both games because I think that the environment that Carolina will have at home will help them. And then I'm concerned, if I'm a Duke fan, I'm concerned that we don't have any environment, more than likely, when Carolina has to come to their building later on in the year. I think by that time also, Carolina will probably have their shooting on point. Carolina wants to make a statement. I think Carolina wins both games, so I'm going to say false.
I hope you're right. I'm wrong. I'm saying true. I think we split. Obviously, Duke loses Trey Jones, which is huge, and they got a few freshmen stepping in, but I think we are just as talented, if not more talented. But Carolina rankings thrown out. It's always a blast to watch the two play, and I think that we split.
Last year, Clemson ended that dreaded losing streak in Chapel Hill, mainly in part because Carolina just